So you've probably heard the words torts and contracts thrown around, right? They sound super technical, maybe even a little intimidating, but they actually pop up in our everyday lives way more than you'd think. And trust me, knowing the difference is absolutely crucial when things go south. So let's break it down.
I want you to picture this. Let's say you hire someone, a contractor, a painter, anyone professional, and the job just goes horribly wrong. I mean, they don't just do a bad job, they actually make things worse. It's a situation that is unfortunately super common. So what can you actually do about it?
Well, here's where it gets really interesting. The problem you're facing might actually be two completely separate problems rolled into one. To really see what I mean, let's use an example. Imagine you've hired a contractor to give your bathroom a much-needed makeover. You're dreaming of those beautiful new tiles, that sleek modern sink. But yeah, things are not going to go to plan.
Okay, so not only does our contractor install the completely wrong tiles, but to really top it all off, they carelessly drop a heavy wrench and crack your brand new sink. This one single disastrous event, it's just created two different legal issues. And this right here is where people get tripped up between torts and contracts all the time.
Now, before we pull these two concepts apart, let's look at where they actually connect. Both a tort and a breach of contract fall under the umbrella of civil law matters. But what in the world does that actually mean for you?
It's actually pretty simple. It just means this isn't a crime where the government steps in. Nope. This is a dispute between two people, you and the contractor. The whole point isn't to send anyone to jail. It's for you, the person who's been wronged, to get compensation, what the law calls damages, for the harm that was done.
So, how do we tell them apart? This is the key. The whole difference boils down to one simple but powerful idea: public duty versus private duty. If you can get this one concept, you've unlocked the whole puzzle.
Okay, let's look at this. Tort law is all about a public duty. Think of it as a basic set of rules we all have to follow just for living in a society together. Like, the duty to not be reckless and hurt people or break their stuff. But contract law, that's about a private duty. It's an obligation that only exists because you and someone else specifically agreed to it. You basically created your own little set of private rules, just for you two. And there's a legal term for this private little bubble you create. It's called privity. It sounds complicated, but all it means is that only the people who are actually in the contract can sue over it. So your neighbor can't just decide to sue your contractor for putting the wrong tiles in your bathroom, because they weren't part of that private deal.
All right, so we've got this public versus private idea in our toolkit. Let's head back to our bathroom disaster and see how it all plays out. It's time to see how one really bad day with a contractor splits into two totally different legal wrongs.
Okay, here's the play-by-play. First, you make the agreement. That's your private deal. Second, the contractor uses the wrong tiles. That's a direct violation of the private duty you both agreed on. That's a classic breach of contract. But then, third, they carelessly crack the sink. That action violates the public duty we all have to act with reasonable care. And that is a tort. Just like that, one messy job has turned into two separate claims.
And this is the light bulb moment. The duty to use those specific tiles, that duty only existed because you two made that contract. Without that piece of paper, the contractor had zero obligation to use any particular tile. But the duty to not carelessly smash your sink, that's a public duty. It applies to everyone, all the time, whether there's a contract or not.
The source material really just nails it with this quote. Tort law is public, while contract law is private, creating rights and obligations only for the parties in privity. That public versus private line in the sand, it makes all the difference.
So let's do a quick recap. What are the big things to remember? First, both torts and contracts are civil matters. It's about getting compensated for a wrong. Second, remember that a single screw-up can lead to both kinds of claims. And the most important thing, torts are about breaking a public duty that we all owe to each other. Contracts are about breaking a private duty that you specifically created with someone.
And that kind of leaves us with a final, bigger question to chew on, doesn't it? If torts are all about these unspoken duties we have to one another just by existing in a society, what are they? When you're driving your car, or just walking down the street, or even posting something online, what are those duties you owe to literally everyone else? It's a pretty powerful thing to think about. Thanks for tuning in.